Welcome back to card number 2 with using the Swallowtail Stamp Set, the one that I'm using this month, where I'm making 3 tutorials on how you can use this stamp set 3 different ways. So the first one was the triple time card that we did with lots of lovely different colours. This one today we're just going to be doing a black and white card with it. So I call it my floating butterfly card. So let's get started. So to start with, as I said, it's just black and white. So what you need is an 11-inch long piece of cardstock, 5.5 inches wide, and then, 4.25 inches wide, and then scored at 5.5, because we want it open. We want it opening this way. Like normally most of my cards open that way. We want it opening this way. Okay, and I will have the measurements at the bottom in the comments. So if I've made a mistake, they'll be right there in the comments for you. Now inside the card, for those that like measurements, it's a 4-inch by 5.25 piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I've just stamped very lightly the swallowtail. You can see that I've stamped him off the paper, so, and then I've just glued him on inside, so it follows through to what we're going to have on the front. Then we need a really big piece of cardstock. Now this piece of white cardstock measured 5 3/4 by 4 3/4. Now it can just be a scrap piece because we're going to cut part of him out. So it just has to be big enough that you can stamp the whole butterfly on it. Okay. So, and I always use StazOn jet black ink for this particular card because the black is very vibrant. Okay, and then once you've stamped him like that, I have already done before coming on camera, then you must set it aside to dry for a few minutes. Then I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White cardstock, 4 inches by 5.25. Now what we're going to do, I have started to stamp him up already with StazOn. Now with your StazOn, just make sure you leave that lid on when you're not using it, because otherwise it will dry out. And it really needs a really good ink up. That's why I started doing it a bit off camera. You just really need to ink it up well. And when you're using the StazOn ink, make sure that you do use the StazOn ink cleaner from Stampin' Up after each use of stamping your stamp up with the StazOn ink, because it is a very vibrant ink and we want a really vibrant picture on the front. So I'm just hoping this video is alright because we've just lost power. Very humid here at the moment. And we had the most horrific storm which just brought no rain at all. Now we've got that there. Now I've noticed I've got a little bit of ink around these edges. Now what I do is I just get a cotton bud and just take off a little bit of, with the StazOn ink it's not so bad because once StazOn dries, it dries. But normally I would just, it's just a tip, I always have a cotton bud handy because you don't want those little marks on your, when you stamp it. It's nothing more annoying. Now I will stand up when I stamp this because it's such a big stamp. Okay, so we bring in our piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now we want this wing this wing to be right up on that corner, and we're stamping it straight this time. Let it down. I'm just going to stand up and really push. Make sure I get those corners. Now you'll notice some of your stamp will be off your card. That's how we want it to be. Try not to rock it, otherwise we'll end up with a smudge. Oh, that's beautiful. Really vibrant. So then you've got that effect. So you really do need to use the StazOn jet black ink for this card, because it's just such a vibrant colour. Oh, the lights just came back on. We'll just keep going. So then what we want to do is we want to get our snips, and we're just going to start cutting this butterfly out. Now because it's black and white, you don't have to be really careful. Ladies ask me, do we have to be so precise in cutting it out? Well, no, you don't. Because it's black and white, you're not trying to get round colours or anything like that. Now just see where I'm going to cut that. So I'm going to cut along here. You'll see why when I've done it. There's no wrong or right place to cut your butterfly out. And I could have done this off camera to save time, but I just wanted you to see. So when I get up to the head, I don't personally myself, I don't worry about cutting round his antennas for this particular card, because it's very, very fiddly. Now I'm just going to chop that piece off because it's getting in my way, and I'm just going to continue around. You can just see I'm just following that segment. And we're going to cut. I'm going to cut down there. Just down to his body where it meets there. Now, just have to be a bit careful cutting around his head. Don't want him to look like he's got a silly oval head. It's more round. And as I said, I'm not going to, when I make this card personally, I don't worry about cutting his antennas off, because it is a black and white card, so it's not going to really matter. Sorry if I went off camera there for you, but just then I'm going to go round here. So once again, it's no wrong way to cut it. It's just where you want to cut it out. I'm just giving you the ideal. Just go in there a bit, and I'm just going to follow those lines along there. Now I've got 2 pairs of these Stampin' Up snips because I naughtily got glue on one of them, so that pair I use for anything, and this pair that I've just recently bought another pair is only for my fussy cutting out like this, because they are just the best scissors I've ever had. I used to do a lot of fussy cutting out before I came to Stampin' Up as a demonstrator, so I have done a lot of fussy cutting. Now I just want to trim off his little bottom there. Now, so we've got that, right? So what we do is just bend up like that, and he's going to sit on there. So we need to put a bit of glue. Oh, will I put glue or I think I will put dimensionals instead. It's just for his body, and I shouldn't be using these scissors for it after telling you that, but just going to cut one in half and put one on his body like that, and that's most probably enough. I most probably don't really need one. It's just to secure him. Just line it up as well as you can. Alright, and you'll see that's it. Now it's better to stick it on the card like that before you go sticking it on to your main black piece, and I'll show you why. Because you're going to hold that down and turn it over, and you're going to cut straight down that card like that. It makes it a lot easier. And then you're going to bend his wings up like that before putting it on there. So then we just want to put some snow around sides. Just really love the effect that this one colour does with this. Now I'm doing it in black and white, but you know, you could do a lot of these as invites or anything like that, and you could do them in a different colour. If it was a girl's birthday or something like that, you could do pink ones. You know, there's just, I just love this stamp so much that it's just so much you can do with this stamp. So then I'm just going to pull his wings up, and he's on the card like that. So I'll just zoom out at this stage like that. So he's like that. That's why I call him my floating butterfly. Now, sentiment. We need a piece of black that is 4 inches long by 1 2/8 wide, and then a piece of whisper white is going to be 4 inches by 1 inches. I have already gone ahead and stamped from Choose Happiness Stamp Set, When I Need a Friend You're There, and you can see that I wasn't happy with how I stamped it on the other side. So then I'm just going to line that up on there and just go as center as I can, like that. Perfect. It's going to go down here. So I'm just going to pop that up with some dimensionals. I know I'm going a bit crazy with the dimensionals, but I don't want it to come off. Just seeing I've got one stuck to my finger. I might just stick him there, and I really want two at that end. You don't have to put as many on as I do. But okay, so then we'll bring that one back in, and we're just going to position our sentiment at the bottom like that, and then position it I like to do it so it just shows a little bit of white at the bottom along there. It's just the way I do it. Then you could leave it like that, but I'm just going to get a few rhinestones, and I have a pair of tweezers that I like to use for that. So just put you could leave the rhinestones off if you wanted to. Actually I think I will leave the rhinestones off. I like it better without. You could put a bit of Winkerstella glitter on it if you wanted to, but I think the rhinestones just spoil that. It's such a lovely card. Okay, so that's our number 2 card using the Swallow stamp set, and you can see the 3D effect of it. Everyone I give this to absolutely love this card. So I hope you'll give that a try, and I'll be back in another couple of days with the 3rd card that we're going to do using the Swallowtail Stamp Set. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.